News 25 is brought to you by Bees Embroidery and Garment Printing, specializing in custom and personalized decoration of gifts, garments, and more. Call 775-727-9444. News is also brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Tonight, the CEO of Valley Electric is arrested and a home fire is extinguished by firefighters. News 25 starts now.
You're watching KPVM News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell. News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Valley Electric CEO Angela Evans is arrested for embezzlement. It's Wednesday, February 27th. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Officers with the Nye County Sheriff's Office have arrested Valley Electric's top executive last night after they say they were tipped off that a large amount of money was billed to Valley Electric Association for work done on the CEO's private residence. The chief executive officer of Valley Electric Association was taken into custody last night at the utility company located on Highway 372 here in Pahrump for embezzlement. Police say that Angela Evans had work done at her home in the Winery neighborhood and billed VEA. Evans allegedly had a contractor move power lines underground at her residence located on the corner of Winery Road and Havasu Street. Law enforcement says that the newly constructed custom-built home is the only residence on the street that has no power lines running through the backyard of the property. The Nye County Sheriff's Office reports that $75,000 worth of work was allegedly billed to the cooperative. The power lines, which run parallel to the 230 kilovolt lines that VEA sold to Grid Lions for $200 million, run through the properties, then suddenly stop and go underground, then back up the pole to the other side of the yard. An employee with VEA reported that the work was done but did not know how it was paid for. The Nye County Sheriff's Office says that they were tipped off by two individuals and have received a copy of the invoice. They say that Evans admitted that Valley Electric should have not been billed for the work and said that she would fix it according to the declaration of arrest. Valley Electric Association's Chief Financial Officer, Steve Morrison, has been named Acting Chief Executive Officer by Board Chairman Ken Dershon, according to Michael Hingle, Valley Electric's Vice President of Corporate Communications. Valley's Board of Directors is meeting today to confirm the appointment, and they say to launch an internal investigation and review Angela Evans' arrest. There is a continuing investigation by the Nye County Sheriff's Office into financial records and key individuals at the Valley Electric Association following a sudden broadband and electrical rate increase. It has been reported Valley Electric Association offered voluntary layoffs to 16 employees with severance packages and also eliminated 18 job positions to cut expenses for the member-owned utility. The members say that this did not coincide with the forecasted 10-year rate stability guarantee following that $200 million sale of the transmission lines voted in by members. There's also been allegations of a cover-up at VEA by the Nye County Sheriff's Office, who conducted a raid after reports that former CEO Tom Husted may have sexually harassed an employee and that key figures were paid not to disclose the information. Valley Electric Association issued a press release addressing the recent events involving the cooperative. They said that they would like to assure members that Valley Electric Association will cooperate fully and transparently with authorities. Today we asked Ken Johnson, who is the former executive of business development for Valley Communications, if Evans would normally need approval for this type of expenditure, which police say was billed as System I, which refers to system improvements, which is a line item used when the co-op absorbs the cost of repairs or improvements and depreciates internally.
Typically, I don't know all the ins and outs of how finance gets things approved, but normally, in a normal corporation, you would have a certain discretion to a dollar figure, and then at least you would disclose it to the board. But if it was buried in plant work where, like building a line or something like that, it's not like you're writing a check per se, or if it was employee wages that went into that account, it would be difficult to see, and I don't know that it would have been highlighted to the board. You would hope that it would have been, but then that opens up its own can of worms of problems if that were the case too. So all we want to say is let's get a fresh board that gets a fresh look at things, and then they can tell us whether, the other board was doing a good job and the best under the circumstances, or, if things got lapsed and now we got a chance to fix it.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
VEA regrets the current circumstances and remain committed to their members, and services will not be affected. And we spoke to Fire Chief Scott Lewis this morning about Friday's structure fire on Bell Vista in an unoccupied home.
Just before 3 p.m., we were dispatched for a report of a structure fire on the west end of Bell Vista, just past David. As we arrived on location, crews found heavy smoke showing from a single-wide manufactured dwelling with an attached wood frame structure. There was an overabundance of personal property, both stored about the property and also located within. Crews commenced a modified interior attack, and they found the fire was traveling underneath the structure. They quickly accessed that fire and placed it under control in approximately 30 minutes after arrival.
How destroyed or how livable is that structure at this point?
Well, the structure was in poor condition to begin with. It appeared vacant. However, there was signs that even though it was probably a vacant status, that there may have been someone residing in that structure. We did find an animal that the sheriff's office was following up with. There was other evidence of food product and things like that were stored about. Because of the condition of the property and the nature of the fire and the structure, it was placed at a high risk. It allowed our firefighters to go in there and in a timely fashion now and get that fire under control. Going to the structure, there was a modified power system involving a generator that was plugged into the power pedestal in an inappropriate manner. So it appears that they were using that generator to backfeed the system. There was a modified wood-burning stove that had been converted from a 55-gallon drum, and it was an improper installation, and it actually set the floor below it on fire, and the unit fell into the floor, and that's how we got the extension underneath there.
And you didn't see any residents on scene at the time?
No, there was no one there, but there was evidence of other, personal property, including a motorcycle and things that were stored within the house.
Can you tell me about the animal? What type of animal was that, and how is it doing, and was it injured as a result?
It was a small dog. It was uninjured. The area where the dog was residing in the house was unaffected by the fire, and the sheriff's office was following up with the status with regard to the owner returning to the property.
And a kitchen fire on Daytona required the response from fire crews, police, and medics.
Just before 11 o'clock on Monday, we were dispatched a report of a structure fire on Daytona. Crews arrived to find nothing showing from the exterior, but as they approached the house, they opened the door and found a moderate smoke condition with fire presenting in the kitchen. Determined it was a working fire, had additional resources. The fire was quickly controlled. They advanced an 1 3/4 inch, which is our standard attack line, into the house, and they found a stovetop fire that had extended to the kitchen cabinets and was going up along the ceiling line. They were able to extinguish that fire. They checked for an extension. They didn't find any. There were no injuries. However, one person was evaluated medically just to make sure that he was okay. He did decide AMA, which is against medical advice, be transported. Apparently, he was preparing some food on the stove and may have fallen asleep and awoke to the fire on the stovetop.
And the home is still livable?
The home was still livable. It did sustain significant damage to the appliance and the cabinets above the stove.
News 25 will return after this break.
You're watching KPVM News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. Well, Valley Electric Association's former CEO, Tom Husted, left abruptly May 4th of 2018 to, quote, pursue other interests. Husted reportedly moved to Texas after quickly selling his property here in Pahrump in the Artesia neighborhood. He then resigned following a 3-month hiatus in which he reported that he had sunk his yacht, according to sources. Now, police say that there are reports that Mr. Husted may have been asked to leave by the board when sexual misconduct allegations surfaced. Former VCA executive Ken Johnson, who is heading up the VEA Members for Change group, talks about how he found out how Husted was leaving. Johnson says that they are asking for members to sign a petition to have the executive board replaced.
So with Tom resigning, or retiring is what we were told, no clue. I had been in touch with him that week, bouncing different strategies off of him, different approaches. And then Friday afternoon, I went in for a staff meeting and was told that his truck was there. He wasn't. Nobody understood where he was. And then about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Mrs. Evans and the HR VP came in from having taken a phone call and said Tom had retired, he was out. So definitely everybody's heads were spinning, we were confused, and then you start to suspect that there's some kind of scandal, but I had no direct knowledge at that time of any accusations or allegations of anything really at that point. Board of directors, according to the bylaws, have a responsibility to supervise one employee at the business. The CEO supervises everybody else except himself. The board of directors, if you read the bylaws, only have responsibility to oversee the CEO. And if they say he was out of control and now that he left, the world's crazy, well then that shows the board did not perform their fiduciary duty while he was here. The first moment there was a hint of, oops, uh-oh, you need to get out in front of that. You need to get the bad news out on the table again. And if that had been a 6-month dialogue or an 8-month dialogue, then when you finally got to the conclusion, and you were just honest about it, you'd regain that credibility. As it is, though, it's kind of like, it feels like people are not wanting to admit the errors and just say, no, this is just the way it is. And I just think that's a dismissive and somewhat arrogant approach, and it doesn't serve the cooperative well. You go back and look at 2015, 2016, I don't have access to 17, but you start to see somewhere around $13, $14, $15 million that was spent in those years for the new technology building, for the VCC, the Valley Conference Center, and then there was a huge remodeling once the new building was done. Then they did a huge remodeling of the boardroom, the customer service area, the admin places, all new furniture. And I think if the member kind of connects the dots and says, wow, why, if we knew that there was going to be this waterfall after 10 years without rate increases, maybe we should have taken it a little bit easy on that and found a more cost-effective way to provide the space for the staff that was needed. I don't want to believe that anybody willfully did anything wrong. I think they're very honorable people. I like them personally. But when you kind of step back and put those individuals aside and look at what the impact is to the member, you have to ask yourself, were we served, or was Mr. Husted out of control, or is this executive team out of control? So this Friday, March 1st, we'll be at the Trish Rippey Real Estate Office on Highway 160 from 9 in the morning until 5 p.m. And then on Saturday, March 2nd, from 8 a.m. to noon at the VFW location on Homestead for the swap meet. Look for the blue Jeep. That's what I heard last week. People were texting their friends and say, look for the blue Jeep. But we'll be there. What we're trying to do is use the first area of the bylaws that says get to 5% of the members, so about 900 signatures, that would force a special meeting. And we're aiming for that sometime in April. There's another section that says to unseat the board members, you need 10%, which would be closer to 1,800 to 2,000 signatures or so, and we're hoping to do more than that. So if you go onto Facebook and search VEA Members for Change, you'll arrive at the Facebook page, and then that gives you all the details of where we will be signing, and then we're following any press releases from the company. We want to make sure the members get to see that and get to weigh the issue fairly, and then anything that we have to say, any propaganda that maybe I write up or somebody else does, or any of the updates on the investigation from Nye County Sheriff.
Well, General Motors is being sued to stop closing manufacturing plants in the United States. Angela Miles reports.
Topping our news, an appeals court says at Blockbuster AT&T Time Warner mega merger will stand. President Trump has been trying to stop the $85 billion deal. He's been outspoken with his criticism of CNN, which is owned by Time Warner and now under AT&T. The UAW is taking on General Motors in a federal court. The union is suing the automaker to get GM to stop closing plants in Ohio, Michigan, and Maryland. The stock market rally that started the year, along with the end of the government shutdown, has consumers feeling more confident. The Conference Board reported that the Consumer Confidence Index rose to 131 in February, and Weight Watchers is shedding some investor value following disappointing results for the fourth quarter. WW, as it is now called, also turned in revenue that was below analyst expectations. That stock lost more than 20% in the after-hours trading session.
Thanks, Angela. More news right after this break.
News 25 is brought to you by Bill and Robin Law, injury attorneys. Injured, need money? Get Bill and Robin, your local Pahrump injury attorneys.
Well, the Shadow Mountain Community Players are performing 10 Little Indians at Nevada Treasure RV Resort this weekend and the following weekend.
Well, we're opening a new show. This is the beginning of our 15th season. We're going to be doing the show out at Treasures. It's the Agatha Christie 10 Little Indians. I played General John Gordon McKenzie, who was stationed in India, hence the hat. The show will start, we'll do it March 1st and 2nd, then we'll do it the following weekend. Tickets are $25 if you buy the tickets at the library. And that includes dinner and show. Now, if you get your tickets at the door, they're $30. And like I say, you'll save a little money getting it there. Doors open at 5:30. Dinner will be at 6 or 6:30, and then basically the show will be right after dinner.
All right, going to be lots of fun.
Oh, it is. Agatha Christie's always a good draw. She writes very good murder mysteries. What's interesting about this one, when she wrote the book, it was called And Then There Were None. Mm-hmm. When she rewrote it as a play, it's now 10 Little Indians. And Mark, who has the grill there, is making the dinner. It's going to be Swedish meatballs and rice. It's going to be really a real good dinner. It's at Treasures, which is out there at Leslie 160. It'll be Friday, March 1st, Saturday, March 2nd. That'll be the following weekend, which is the 8th and the 9th. Doors open at 5:30. Dinner served at 6. For more information, call 775-727-6145.
Well, Home Depot and Manns Elementary School came together this past week to help students build lap desks.
Before Christmas, I applied for a grant from the Pahrump Rotary Club with the other 3 fourth grade teachers, and we are able to make 108 lap desks for children so they have their own personal space at home, or they can have a desk to travel with to do work outside of the school. Home Depot was nice enough to cut us 16-inch squares, and then through the grant we ordered some material. The kids are in charge of nailing it down, measuring their pencil rest, and then they will at a later date sand it a little bit smoother. It's smooth already, ready to use, but this is their own personal space, and it's nice for kids to have something of their own. And as I mentioned before, probably the first thing they do is they find every sticker they have and decorate it and make it their own.
We donated some time. We've got a couple of associates and some family members here as well, helping the kids get it all together. We've got the glue, the molding, the hammers, the tape measures, all the good fun stuff that it's going to take to actually get the project complete.
We have roughly 90 fourth grade students, and that'll leave us about 18 left over. And we're going to give them to Sierra McKillips, our social services person at our school, and she's going to take them and distribute them to other elementaries in Pahrump for kids that, may not have a personal space of their own.
Home Depot really reaches out to the community, does things like this. You also have workshops or different types of activities at your actual store, right?
We do. The first Saturday of every month we do a kids workshop, so that Carmen runs that every first Saturday of the month. It's different projects every time, so it's really fun. They usually try to theme it around holidays and different things going on in in the season. So
how much fun is this, though?
It's so much fun. It's free to the kids. They just come in. All the supplies are provided for them, and it's a really good time.
News 46 Weather Cam is brought to you by Glenn Lerner Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
Let's take a look outside on that weather cam. Look at the beautiful mountains. We're going to have your weather with Michael Donahue after this break.
You're watching KPVM News 25. Local coverage you can count on.
Hello and welcome back to News 25. I'm Michael Donahue with today's temperatures. In Las Vegas, we had a high of 71, a low of 51. Death Valley, 69.48. Amargosa, 80.57. 64.42 in Beatty. Goldfield, 54.30. Tonopah, 54.29. Carson City at 51.39. Fallon, 62.38. And Fernley, 58.39. Today in Pahrump, it's currently 64 degrees outside. We had partly cloudy skies. Our high was 68. Winds out of the south at 9 miles per hour. Humidity at 28%. And sunrise at 6:16 a.m. Tonight, partly cloudy skies. We're going to get as low as 50 degrees. Winds out of the south at 12 miles per hour. 59% humidity. And 5:37 is our sunset. Looking ahead to the 7-day, nothing but clouds all week long. We do have a 60% chance of rain on Saturday and a 40% next Wednesday. However, that 40% is too far out to tell for sure at this time. Temperature-wise, nothing much has really changed. We're still going to see those temperatures between 61 and 69 degrees all week long for our highs, and our lows are still going to be between 42 and 51 degrees. Now, you can also check us out online. Check us out on Facebook and our website, Local Pahrump 411. You can catch the news even if you're on the go every night at 5 if you check out that on Facebook. So now we're going to throw us back to the desk with Deanna.
Thanks so much, Michael. Well, I'm Deanna O'Donnell from all of us up here at KPVM and Ace Country Radio. Have a good night. We'll see you back here tomorrow.